Hey there, YouTubers. Super1996 here. Today, I'm starting a new build video real quick. I don't know how quick, but half of it should technically be programmed right now. Starting the spear, the beskar spear from The Mandalorian. Here I'm in NC Viewer. Is a website, free website, which is awesome. It's a great tool. I use it all the time when programming in G-code longhand. So this is the spear pommel end, not the obviously not the spear end. So if we come in here, I've got it taken out, the a nice radius on the end here. I have some turning down to, this is all eyeball reference from this guy, the Welding Geek. He's pretty sweet. He built his out of titanium, so I'm gonna make mine out of stainless, because one, I don't want to deal with titanium. I never turned it, and my coworker said it's really a pain in the butt to turn, and it's expensive. And we actually have 1-inch stainless for, I'm gonna cover up my part numbers, but for this bad boy. So if I actually, even if I wanted to, I could make it in 2 pieces thread together, because I'm currently programming the female version, but I made the male version of this, which here's a print for right here. So I just made those on the lathe last week on the CNC. So I have a program for if male and female 1-inch, I could turn this down, the knurl gone, so that it's all this diameter. Press it in so it's just a flush sticking out thread. But I decided against that for a couple reasons. It would make the spear a lot heavier than I wanted it to be, and it wouldn't feel as right. That, you'd always have that split in there, and if you hit it on something like the Welding Geek does, it wouldn't really tuning fork noise as it should. So I'm gonna try and do it in 1 piece, which we have some nice 1-inch polished, not really polished, but I don't know what the term, I do know the term, but I'm brain fart right now. Grained stainless that we use for these, that these get pressed into. So I'm basically just taking the same kind of thing. We use a I don't have any of the inserts for it up here, but the beskar Cut, love those things, and I use those. They're so freaking strong. When I'm down on the machine, I'll show you them, but I love them. They're probably one of my favorite tools next to that beskar 937 board drill. That's one of my also all-time favorites. I use that all the time. So I'm basically just looking at his video, and we're going off of generalized. I couldn't find prints anywhere. I mean, like actual prints. So I'm kind of just looking at pictures. He's got a turn, and then it looks like it turns down to about the same diameter he turned that to, and then it has it come back up, and then he presses it into the end of this tube, which is what I'm doing here. Turning it down, putting a radius on the end, then turning it down to this over here. It comes back up, and then this is our press. So the only thing I'm gonna have a problem with is our press is only like 4 feet tall. We have a floor-mounted arbor press, so I'm gonna see what I can do. I might have to pound it in or heat up the tube. Do like a 1.5 thou, 2 thou press fit, heat up the tube, and then drop it in there. But we'll see. I'm hoping I can just press it in with a nice hefty press fit. So this is the first part. I'm actually going to program the spear point now, and then I'll go bring these down in the machine, and I will see what I can make. And I'll probably make 2 of everything, just for if I butcher one of them, or if in the future it breaks or dents by beyond salvageability, I can just make another one, and I don't have to reset the machine up. The really good thing is that these machines are set up right. Both of our lathes are set up right now for this 1-inch stainless. I've been turning it on each. I've been turning tubes on one and solid on the other, which is exactly what I need for this. I need solid and tubes. So that is the plan. I also don't know how far out of the tailstock, or out of the main spindle, out the rear end, the tube will stick. So that's another problem. If it's like 5 feet, it'll stick out 2 feet, and as you know, spinning at 1500 RPM, you don't want to be sticking out that far. It will just go bink, and then it'll go whoop, 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 whoop. So we'll see. That's another pro of turning it in 2 pieces. But I might put it all the way in 2 feet, put it on a center, because our A does have a center, which our LSY has a sub spindle, which that would be even better. So I might end up doing it on that machine, but we'll see. All right, guys, we're down here in the shop, and this is the Doosan 220A that we have. Over here is the 220 LSY. Forgive the dirtiness here. I've been running it a lot. Hold on, let me clean this lens. This is actually currently set up to run those these female threads, and here's the male thread version that I made of this. All out of this 1-inch stainless. So this is what I'm gonna make the ends out of. I like this machine because it's got 2 main sub and live tool, which is pretty nice. The last worker broke the eject arm, like shattered it like 5 times, so it doesn't work anymore. But other than that, everything works on this. So it's just set up right now for the female thread, so I'm just gonna use this machine. But this is the Pentacut, and I love it. You can get a bunch of different sizes, shapes of insert. They're super strong. I rapided through a part once and it didn't break. So this is a 70 thou cutoff blade, or groove if you like, but this is the part number and everything. I highly recommend it. And this bore drill here, this 937 bore drill, is perfect, because you can obviously bore, and then you just offset, 50 thous, and you can cut. So it's an awesome bore drill. This is also a great machine. It wasn't too expensive for what it is, and 90% of our jobs can be run on this. So this is actually what the first part I ever made was on that, and that was a personal project. I made a dummy bullet for a 30 millimeter casing that my friend gave me, which I'll show you guys later. I'll go over there and grab it. But this is actually my second personal project on the CNCs, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I don't crash anything. But for OD roughing, we're going to use this, and for the press OD diameter, we're going to be using this. It's going to plunge feet of a thou, come up over 70 thou, and just plunge. And then the last one, it comes over and it does a nice finish pass. And then we're going to part off with, bring that over here. We're going to part off with their bigger Pentacut. I mean, I've had some use of that. It's not amazing and it's not bad, but it's definitely not as strong as the small Pentacut. I usually use these, but this one's actually set up in here, stuck way out for a stop to advance your stock to. So I also got to figure out what I'm sticking this out to. I think I'm 2 inches, 2.5 inches. So yeah, I'll load the program up and we'll start cutting. You probably won't see any cutting because it's just going to be white on the window because of the coolant, but that's beside the point. All right, guys, just finished one of them. Well, not finished, but got the nice little radius on here. This is probably too small, but I'm kind of liking it. Pretty nice flare. It probably wasn't judging by the pictures, it probably wasn't this small, but I like exaggerations in this kind of stuff. So I can knock down these burrs. I didn't do a radius or anything on a belt sander. And yeah, now I just have to do all these plunge cuts here to do a press diameter and part it off, and then I'll make a second one just for backup. So, yep. All right, y'all, here we are. First one done. Obviously got a big old titty there and a little titty there. But looks about right to me. Lengthwise, maybe could be a tad longer, maybe like an 1/8 inch longer, but for what it is, I'm I'm just going to keep it as it is. And this is the pipe that it's going to go into. So when it presses in there, this will be flush. It'll look pretty nice. So, and this is that stainless tubing that's grained in one, round radially. So this came out pretty nice. Took about an hour to program, set up, and run. So we'll get going on the spear side next. All right, guys, we're back. I've got my 2 pommel ends. This is the great thing about CNC. You make it once and it'll make 1,000 of them. So 2 of them exactly the same. I have taken them to the deburring wheel, which I also highly, highly recommend. These things, they are by Norton. They're it's like a fiber pressed together. Here's one. Here you go. That thing. They're thicker. We got the thicker ones, the 1-inch ones, and I just absolutely love it. It's like all I use for deburring. That you chew through them like you're going out of style. You can see it's put grooves wherever like a sharp edge you take off. But other than that, I freaking love those things, and I highly recommend them. Can't recommend them enough. They're pretty expensive though. I think it's like $40 a wheel. But I mean, just look at how nicely all of these edges are nice and deburred. I hit the little tit on the end a little bit too. Looks like I didn't pull that part out of the chuck enough. So it's kind of got a flat on the end, which I don't really care about. So it's going to be hitting the floor anyway, going to get flat. So this is the 2 ends, 2 pommel ends. This side will press obviously into the tubing, and this is what will be seen. Now I have to decide on how I'm going to turn this 5-6 foot long tube. I think I'm going to have to stick it 3 feet so that we got 36 inches in the chuck, and then that's probably another 3 feet too into there. I got to see if we have like a flush center. I don't even know where our live center is right now, but I got to find it. And then I can turn the 3 grooves, flip it around, turn the other 3 grooves. I'll probably just use this 120 wide big Pennacut. Just a little plunge. They don't look too deep, but that is my next plan. So I still haven't figured what I want to do with the spear because it's 12 inches. I could chuck it in here, turn a little round part, and then put it on a center. That's probably the easiest thing. And then have a nice GO2 come in and just make it a point. The welding geek on his, he turned a 1/2 inch point on here and then just took it to a belt to a grinder and ground it in there. I could do that too. That's probably I wouldn't say the quickest, but it's definitely the easiest. I just gotta ask my pops what he thinks I should do. He said he was going out to lunch, but that was like an hour and a half ago, so I gotta call him to see what he's up to. But yeah, that is the next hurdle/roadblock. But I'm really happy with how these turned out. These turn out just like the picture, and once they're grained with a piece of Scotch-Brite, they'll look just like the tubing, and it'll look all like one big forging. So yeah, stay tuned, and I will. All right, guys, we're back upstairs after running those 2 pieces, and here's like a real quick overview of the spear side. So I decided to do pointed side on the chuck, and I'm gonna run this with a live center. It's gonna weigh a shit ton of weight units. It's a 12.5 inch spike made out of solid stainless, so it's gonna be hefty, but it's gonna be fun to turn because I'm spinning this thing at 1,000 RPM. As you can see, I've got a ton of cuts here to get it down to 60 thou. I got like a 60 thou little chunk that keeps it attached to the chuck. And the stock obviously is going to be in the chuck here, and this over here is going to be in a live center. I'm going to drill a hole in the center of this end, and I have a live center on the tailstock in that A. So I come down, I turn this to 895, which is the press fit for our tubing. And then we got a little come up here, and then it will just go on a GO3 spree here, going 50 thou cuts, which is cut in half. Is it 50 thou cuts? Let's see, 120.02. Yeah, so it's 50 thou cuts, which aren't too bad, especially for that rougher. And then the last one I think is like a 10 thou. I could do that with a finisher. The aluminum cut inserts love this stainless, or should I say the stainless loves the aluminum for light cuts, because it just gets right under it. It's really big kerf on that, and it just likes to get under that stainless. Also, before I take all this out, I'm gonna have to come in with a groove tool and put these two grooves in there. I've got a 70 thou U groove tool, 78 thou U groove tool that is looks like it'll be perfect for this. So I just have to put those into the Pentastar holder, and that's that. So this is almost ready to go down on the machine. I then have to cut a 12 inch chunk off with maybe an inch and a half that'll go in the chuck, and I will bring this into our hard-hinge lathe. I will drill a center hole here, and I'll get the live center on the subspindle, or not really subspindle, the tailstock of the 220A. So I will meet you guys. All right, guys, here's just a quick example of why I love this Pentacut. This is the one that was in there. It's a 70 thou straight grooving tool. And here we have a 78 thou U-shaped groove tool. And here we have another awesome one, is a threading insert. So this is the stack of different, and I've labeled each one. We got 31 snap ring groove, 50, 58, 62, 70. I'd say 70 and 31 are our most used, just because we do a lot of snap ring grooves, and 70 is a nice thickness that it's not gonna beat the crap out of the insert really. They last forever, and there's 5 sides to them. You can cut both directions. It's just awesome. Really quick to change. They bank up against the same thing on the cutter, so really quick change. You can touch them off. You don't really have to if you're doing kind of what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna touch this off just for giggles. See, I've never seen this before. This one is actually broken, but you could still use these 3, so it's pretty cool. That's why I highly recommend it. We actually should buy more, because we've only got 2 for one machine and 1 for this A, but this is probably one of the most versatile kind of cutters out there. All right, here's my not at all sketchy setup. I've got 10 inches sticking. Well, actually it's like 12. I've already turned this because the machine won't go far enough. It'll hit the wall before it can turn all this. So I turned this like right here. I didn't even change the Z from the last program. So I turned that down, did the 2 grooves, and now I re-zeroed it on this furthest groove. So it's gonna start curving from there, and it'll do like 10 passes to get to a point. It'll leave a 60 thou shank that's going into the stock in there, and then I'll sawzall that, or a hacksaw that off and take it to a belt sander. So fingers crossed, it should all work. We'll see how it goes. I'm running 1,000 RPM or 1,100, so not too fast, not too slow. We'll check. Don't know how well it can be seen through this oil slick here. Oh, there you go. But it's running pretty good. Here we got my GO3 down to 700 thou, back to 172, and then I have a flat there, and that goes for all of them, and that flat ends at 60 thou above. So like I said, running 1,100 RPM, and I actually doubled the feed. I got the feed override cranked up because I didn't need to go that slow, and this would take all month if I was doing it this slow. But there she goes. It'll be quite a while till it's done, but it's looking more spear-like. All right, I think my insert is toast here. I just paused it, and look at all this chatter. So I'm just gonna change the insert real quick. It's still in the middle of the program. I just turn the spindle speed, cooling off, and feed rate down. So probably not the safest thing, but we'll get that insert changed. I don't want no chitter chatter here. This is the roughing done. Got some chatter here and here. I was playing the speeds and feeds, and it didn't really seem to help it. I did switch out the insert, and it still chattered. It used to chatter here bad, but then it was chattering down here. Look at that. That's ridiculous. So now we're gonna come in with an aluminum cutting tool, and we'll see what kind of finish that leaves. Usually it leaves a nice finish on this stainless. Um, that's to be determined though. And then I will just, MO3 it for, let's say 100 RPM, and just knock all these corners off with a file, and then sand and get all this chatter out, and grain it with a piece of Scotch-Brite. It'll look just like the tubing. Alrighty, we are back. I have since turned this tube down. You can see I think they're 50 thou a side, and they're 150 thou wide. 3 grooves here and 3 grooves here. You can't really see it, but it gives your hand something to grab onto. Just going by the Welding Geeks video, that's what it looks like. I'm also going to dress this this seam right here. I might use some filler weld and dress it back. But all I did was pound this in with a hammer, so that went in fine. And the spike, I grained it and everything. It looks really nice. I think I'm gonna take this to the belt sander and get it to a slip fit, and then weld, and then dress the weld. I have some stainless that I found, some stainless sheet metal that I will cut out for the wings there, and then I'll have to fillet weld and take to a belt sander and make it look like one piece. So that's the plan. We're coming along. We're less than half done, but the overall length of this is going to be 6 foot. So when this is on the ground, the 3 grooves are like right where you want to hold it, which is nice. All I did was face both ends off so they're straight, and I turned these 3 grooves, and then I grained it with some Scotch-Brite. And I had to do it on our manual jet lathe because it's a lot safer, and I could stick out. I only went like 400 RPM, so there was really no worry about it bending or something like that, but it looks pretty sweet. I cannot wait to have it done. All right, guys, I'm here. I set up the MIG this time. Tried TIG, and I ran out of argon halfway through my test. So we have stainless wire. These are my blades I cut out. 2 half-inch pieces of aluminum. All right, here we are, MIG'd up. I'll grab a MIG glove because it's still, I had to put a lot of heat into this bad boy. So I used the MIG with stainless wire instead of TIG because we ran out of argon. And we had stainless wire, so kind of just fill it. I can feel the heat from here, but now it's just going to be grinding that fillet, and I'll probably fill it with some more weld, depending on what kind of finish I get, and then I'll shave the blades. But it's almost done. All right, guys, we've just welded that, well, not just, but yesterday. Welded that together, and I'm working on blending these welds. So I got my little air whiz banger, and just making a nice fillet. So it's got stainless wire, stainless plate, stainless shank. So it's chewing through these edges real quick, and then basically it makes the rest of the pad useless. But when they start, they're really eating it. And these green ones are pretty good too. I think, I don't know who makes these. Maybe the Norton, no, they're not the Norton ones, they're somebody else. But I took the majority of the material out with an angle grinder and a grinding wheel, like the thick wheel. So it's just a lot of time with that because you can't really use a belt sander or anything. But I'll just continue to chip away at this, and I'll let you guys see it when I'm done. All right, guys, here we are. We got the end in. It's pretty cleaned up. I'm gonna TIG some of those holes up and blend it more. Yeah, that's still really hot, but that's how we got it in. It's a little trick of the trade here. That's how we put inserts in our tubes, so, or we used to. You just heat it up and drop it right in, and then it cools down. You obviously have to have like a thou press fit, and you only have about 2 seconds before it locks up. But this is my Mandalorian spear. Got my end down here, 3 grooves, and the end. I didn't make it super sharp or anything. It's even got a blunted tip because, you know, a 6-foot pole. Same thing with bayonets. If you guys have any real bayonets, they're not sharp at all, because a 6-foot pole of torque is a lot to thrust through something. So I think I kind of like that. I'll see how I like it tomorrow. Kind of makes it look like it's burnt by like a lightsaber or something, but yeah, it's pretty darn sweet. And it's definitely nose heavy. Actually, yeah, it's definitely nose heavy, but there we go. Mandalorian spear down. Thanks for watching, guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think.